$356.66 a month tax-free for the rest of your life. That is what a 20% rating pays a veteran with no dependents in 2026. And a knee you wrecked on a single drill weekend can be exactly what earns it. Here is the part the recruiter never told you and the unit clerk never wrote down. There is a single word in your records from that weekend that decides whether that check ever starts, and most Guard and Reserve members never find out it was missing until it is too late.
And the audience for this one is huge, which is exactly why it gets ignored. Around 1 million Americans serve part-time in the National Guard and the Reserve, 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year, and they keep telling us nobody covers them. So today we do.
And the money is real and current, at 20% with no dependents. The official VA rate table puts it at $356.66 a month, effective December 1st of 2025. That is not a signing bonus that disappears. It is monthly and it is tax-free.
Let me attack the belief that stops most people before they start. The myth is you weren't active duty, you were just a weekend warrior, so you can't file. I want to challenge that flat out because as a blanket rule it is simply false.
It is false, and here is the correct rule in one line. What decides your claim is not whether you ever deployed. It is your duty status at the exact moment you were injured. Get that one fact right and a drill injury connects like any other.
And that is rung one of the claim ladder file, the rung where simply getting your injury on the record is the whole game. Everything today is a rung one move. Before we open it up, Sarah, there's a question that lands under every Guard and Reserve video we post, and I want it framing this one.
Yes, and it is the same question every single time. People write, I got hurt at drill but I was never on active orders. Does the VA even count that? Or am I wasting my time filing? That is what we are answering today.
Short answer, it absolutely can count. And by the end you will know exactly when. So let's start where every one of these claims is decided, with 2 words in your orders that quietly run the whole thing.
2 pieces of alphabet soup decide more money than almost anything else in a Guard or Reserve claim, and most members have never had them explained. They are ACDUTRA and INACDUTRA. Get them straight, and the rest of this falls into place.
Let me define them precisely because the VA does, in Title 38 of the Code of Federal Regulations, Section 3.6. The distinction is not VA jargon for its own sake. It is the exact line the rater draws. ACDUTRA is full-time training duty. Think your annual training, the 2-week block, or a military school you are sent to on orders.
INACDUTRA is the other one, and it is the one most of you live in. It is part-time training duty. That is your normal weekend drill, the single weekend a month, the muster you show up to and then drive home from.
Let me run you through exactly what each one covers because this is where the trap is hiding. Picture it as 2 columns side by side. On the full-time side, ACDUTRA, you can service connect an injury or a disease. If something breaks or something develops, both can connect. On the part-time drill side, in INACDUTRA, you can connect an injury, but a disease that simply shows up that weekend cannot connect on that basis.
And the why behind that is fairness, oddly enough. A disease usually builds over time, so the law will not pin a slow illness on one part-time weekend it happened to surface on. An injury is a single event, so it connects to the weekend it occurred.
Make it concrete, Erica, because this is where people get burned. Picture 2 members at the same drill. One tears a knee ligament on the obstacle course, that is an injury, and it connects. The other feels their first asthma flare that same weekend, which is a disease onset, and on a drill weekend it does not connect on its own.
Then let me poke the obvious hole. By your own rule, a guy who has a heart attack on a Saturday drill is having a medical event, not an injury, so he is out. That cannot be right, that is brutal.
Good challenge, and the law agrees with your gut. Congress carved out one exception precisely there. A heart attack? a cardiac arrest, or a stroke during INACDUTRA is treated as a covered event, even though it is technically a disease process. So the drill weekend cardiac case does count.
There is one question every drilling member should ask themselves before they ever file. Sarah has been sitting on it. Sarah, put it the way they would actually say it.
Right. The question they should be asking is simply this: was I on full-time orders or on weekend drill the day I got hurt? Because that one answer changes everything you can claim.
Real quick, because this next part matters to you. If any of this is helping, tap that like button, then hit subscribe and ring the bell so the next one finds you. Both are free and take about a second, but they tell the algorithm to show this to one more person who needs it.
So we have the rule. Now show me where it actually lives, because a rule with no paper trail is just a nice idea. What is the document that proves any of this happened?
It is one form, and it is the most important piece of paper in a guard or reserve claim. It is called the Line of Duty Determination, and in the Army it is recorded on DD Form 261. The line of duty is the official finding that says this member was on duty and this injury happened in the line of that duty, not from their own misconduct. Without it, the VA has nothing connecting your weekend to your wreck.
Let me walk you through the actual form, because the boxes are the whole point. This is the real DD Form 261, and two boxes near the top do almost all the work. Box 2, right at the top, asks what is being investigated, and it makes you check injury or disease. That single check is the ACDUTRA versus INACDUTRA fork we just drew, written onto the form. Get it wrong and your claim inherits the wrong rule.
So let me say that back to make sure I have it, Michael. Two checkboxes near the top of one form, injury versus disease and full-time versus drill, quietly decide which legal rule my entire claim runs under. That is a lot of weight on two pen strokes.
And just below it, box 3 is the duty status block. The investigating officer checks whether you are on a short tour of active duty for training full-time or on inactive duty training your drill weekend. That checkbox is the difference between a disease that counts and a disease that does not.
And here is the mistake that wrecks more guard claims than any other. Picture a veteran we'll call Denise, a 38-year-old Army National Guard staff sergeant who fixes air conditioners for a living the rest of the month. She wrecks her knee on a drill ruck, limps it off, and nobody ever opens a line of duty. Years later, Denise files, and the VA asks the obvious question. Prove you were on duty when it happened. With no line of duty on file, she is reconstructing it from memory and old buddy statements, fighting uphill for something that should have been automatic.
So is Denise just finished? Because that is what it sounds like, and that would be a gut punch.
No, and this is the good news to hold on to. You can request a line of duty determination after the fact, even years later. It is harder without contemporaneous records, but it is a door that stays open. The lesson is simply open the line of duty the day it happens, every single time.
You have the rule, and you have the form that proves it. Now the mechanics, because filing as a guard or reserve member is not some separate secret process. It is the same claim every veteran files with two extra pieces of paper.
The claim goes on VA Form 21-526-EZ. Its official name is the Application for Disability Compensation and Related Compensation Benefits, and the current version is dated January 2026. Same form, whether you served 30 years active or 1 weekend a month.
Attach the two things that make a guard claim move. 1. Your line of duty determination, the DD 261 we just looked at. 2. Your service treatment records from that period. Those two documents are what turn your weekend into a service-connected fact.
And here is the move that quietly protects the most money. Before you have every record gathered, lock an intent to file first. Let me show you why that one step is worth real dollars.
This is the part I want everyone awake for, Michael, because the dollars are not abstract. An intent to file is a single 30-second action that freezes your effective date while you take months to gather the rest. It costs nothing and it can save a fortune.
Say Denise finally files and gets that 20% knee rating. Her back pay does not reach back to the drill weekend years ago. It reaches back only to the date she got on record. Watch what locking that date early is actually worth.
12 months of $356.66 is $4,279.92. That is a full year of back pay, and the only thing that bought it was getting on record a year sooner with an intent to file.
So the lesson is not gather everything perfectly and then file. The lesson is get on the record now, then gather. The form can be finished later. The date cannot be moved later.
You said it cleaner than I would have, Fenrir. And here is one more guardrail for the guard claims specifically. When you list your conditions on the 526, tie each one to the duty period it happened in, by date if you can. The rater is matching your injury to a duty status, so do that matching work for them up front.
And you do not pay anyone to do this. You can file online at va.gov, by mail, or sit down with a free accredited veterans service organization who will build the package with you at no cost. Over on our VA site, we keep the steps and the forms in one place too.
So that is the whole filing path, start to finish. Lock your intent to file today, gather your line of duty and your treatment records, put it all on the 21526 EZ, and either submit it yourself or let a free VSO carry it. The part-time force files the exact same way everyone else does.
There is a second check waiting for the long-haul Guard and Reserve member, and it is completely separate from disability. 20 qualifying years unlocks non-regular retired pay, a pension for part-time service. And the word qualifying is doing real work there. A qualifying year is one where you earn at least 50 retirement points, and 20 of those years is the gate.
Normally that retired pay begins at age 60, but here is the wrinkle most members miss, and it is worth real time off the clock. Recent active duty service can actually pull that starting age down.
This one has enough moving parts that I want someone who lives in it. Let me bring in Dana Whitfield, who knows the Guard and Reserve line of duty and retirement side cold. Dana, can you hear us?
I hear you, glad to be on. Let me start with the cleanest fact, because people conflate these constantly. Your VA disability check and your reserve retired pay are two different benefits from two different systems. 20 qualifying years earns the retirement. A service-connected injury earns the disability. You can have both, and one does not block the other.
That separation matters, Dana, because I have watched members talk themselves out of filing thinking it would somehow complicate their retirement. What about that starting age though? You hinted earlier it is not always 60.
Right, the age 60 default trips people too. Under the 2008 law, every aggregate 90 days of qualifying active duty after January 28, 2008 drops your retired pay age by 3 months. It cannot go below 50, but a member with real mobilization time can shave years off the wait.
Let me push on that because something sounds too good. If both checks are separate, is there a catch where claiming the VA disability claws back the retirement?
Fair to push. And for most reserve retirees, there is an offset rule between the two. But it does not erase the disability, and waivers and special programs can protect it. The headline stands: filing your disability claim never makes your earned retirement disappear. The two are not a trade.
And that is the takeaway I want sitting next to today's filing message. Document the injury now for the disability and keep stacking qualifying years for the retirement. They are two separate doors, and a career guardsman can walk through both.
Dana, thank you. That cleared up the question we get most. Keep it in mind, viewers, these are two systems, not one. Let me bring this home with the honest question I know some of you are sitting on. You are still drilling, you are still in the unit, you are not even sure the knee is that bad yet, so is it actually worth filing right now while you are serving? Let's settle it as a room, 3 of us, out loud.
I'll voice the doubter because it is a real feeling. The worry is, if I file while I am still serving, I look like I am gaming the system, or I flag myself as a problem. A lot of members sit on it for exactly that reason.
I hear that worry, and I want to take it seriously rather than wave it off. But filing an honest claim for a real documented injury is not gaming anything. It is using the exact benefit the law built for you. The injury either happened in the line of duty or it did not, and the record decides that, not your timing.
And the documentation argument is strongest while you are still in. Your unit, your buddies, the people who watched it happen are all reachable right now. Wait 10 years and that evidence scatters. The cleanest claim is the one you build while the proof is still standing next to you.
All right, I'll concede the part that actually matters. The risk I was scared of is mostly imagined, and the cost of waiting is concrete. That is a bad trade, and I would not make it.
So where the three of us land is the same place. There is no real downside to documenting an honest injury, and waiting carries a real measurable cost in lost evidence and lost back pay. File the honest claim, file it early.
That is the synthesis, and it is the one thing I want you to carry out of here. If you served even one weekend a month and you got hurt doing it, you are not a weekend warrior who does not count. You are a service member with a claim, and the duty status on your records is your key. Here is the whole thing in one breath. A guard or reserve injury can service connect and pay, and the word that decides it is your duty status locked onto your line of duty form.
And here is your move tonight, worth real money for 10 minutes of effort. If you ever got hurt at drill, find out whether a line of duty was ever opened, and if not, lock an intent to file and start the request. That turns your memory into a dated claim.
Next time we climb to rung 2 of the claim ladder, connect, where one short letter can rescue a claim the records alone leave hanging. Wait until you see how cheaply that gap gets closed.
If this cleared up something nobody in your chain ever explained, hit like and subscribe so we can keep building this guard and reserve corner of the series.
Before you go, one for the comments. If you got hurt at drill, did anyone ever open a line of duty for you, or did you find out years later that nobody did?
If you can rebuild it from parts, you understood it. Otherwise, keep going.
Michael, that was excellent. I will admit it on this hot mic and regret nothing. 9 out of 10. This is Professor Erica. Thanks for watching and signing off.